Episode 109. Big news. Jade could not control but asked, "What? Did you change that for me?" She raised her head slightly and looked at him in disbelief. "You mean your pad?" Daria asked in a normal tone as he raised his eyebrows. It was as if he was talking about the weather that day. Jade didn't expect him to be so direct. Her face instantly turned red, and she felt very embarrassed. Before Jade could speak, he took the initiative to say, "Yes, I changed your pad." When Dario said this very calmly, Jade almost broke down. She covered her face, which was full of shame. "Mr. Foster, how could you change that for me? Oh my God, I'm too shy for that." "What are you shy about? We're husband and wife, so you don't have to be shy. Besides, you were unconscious last night. If I didn't help you change, who else would have? Don't you know that women need to change their pads a lot? Otherwise, it's very easy to get diseases." Dario revealed a wicked smile as he shared some common knowledge with his wife. He gently pulled Jade's hands away from her face. He thought that she was very cute at that moment. Dario was reaching out his hand to press the back of her head, but just as he went to kiss her, the door suddenly opened. David rushed in excitedly with a bouquet of lilies in his hand. "Hello, Miss Winslet. I'm David, the favourite of many people. I'm here to see you. Are you feeling better?" David's voice became softer and softer as he spoke. He took a step back because he could feel Dario's anger. Dario's face was like an iceberg. David swallowed nervously and looked at him awkwardly. "I don't think I came at the right time. You guys can continue." Dario glanced at him coldly and asked in a suffocating tone, "Is Tony here? Ask him to come in." "I'm here." Tony immediately appeared in the room. At the same time, he gave David a sympathetic look. He didn't dare to come in so easily that day because of how awkward it was when he came in the day before. They were about to have sex. "Check her body and see if there are any problems. If there are any side effects of your treatment, you will face terrible consequences," Dario said coldly. Tom wiped the cold sweat from his forehead. He was only a few minutes late. Did Dario have to scare him like that? "I'll check right away." She didn't expect people to suddenly come in while she felt so shy. Jade's face was bright red. She lowered her head and looked toward the door at David. With a trace of gratitude, she slowly said, "I am fine. Mr. Swan, thank you for the flowers." David placed the flowers beside Jade's bed, and their fresh smell filled the room. Then he turned around and looked at Dario with a serious expression. His eyes were very solemn. He pursed his lips and whispered to him, "Mr. Foster, I have something to tell you. Come out for a moment." Dario nodded and then turned to look into Jade's eyes. When she looked back into his eyes, she felt that they were deeper and more unfathomable than before. She tried to understand the emotions in his eyes, but they were pitch black like lake water, and she couldn't see through them no matter how hard she tried. And if she looked at them for too long, it seemed that she would fall into them and wouldn't be able to escape. His eyes must have been filled with magic. "You just lie here, okay?" Dario gently touched her head. Then he went to the kitchen to get her porridge and set it down at her bedside. At that moment, only Jade and Tony were left in the room. When he came the night before, she was already unconscious, so she didn't know who he was. "Hello, Mr. Tony?" Jade greeted him carefully. Tony was a doctor, but he didn't look like a doctor at all. He was dressed very casually. He smiled. "Miss Winslet, there's no need to be so polite. Just call me by my name. I'm Mr. Foster's private doctor, so I've never treated anyone other than him. You are the first." As he spoke, he hinted at her position in Dario's heart. Jade nodded slightly and said, "Hello, Tony. Do you feel any discomfort in your body?" Jade shook her head, carefully looked at him and said, "I'm fine. Tony, were you here yesterday? Do you know who kidnapped me? That's all I want to know now." Tony didn't know what to say. Looking at the delicate girl in front of him, he notices a hint of shrewdness in her eyes. If she could ask that question so directly, she wouldn't be simple. Jade knew that Dario had very few friends and few people close to him. Tony must be close to him if he can just walk into his house. She thought that they must not just have a doctor and patient relationship. So she had a feeling that he would know what had happened to her. Sure enough, after hearing her question, Tony's expression changed. Jade saw concealment in his eyes. "Actually, I don't know much about it, and Mr. Foster doesn't seem to want you to know either. I can only say that it has something to do with your family." Tony carefully watched her expression as he spoke. He was afraid that she wouldn't be able to accept it. After all, any normal person would collapse after learning about it. But Jade was much stronger than he had imagined. He thought that she'd be shocked and wouldn't believe his words, and he worried that she might suspect that he was lying. But Jade only revealed a trace of a cold smile. Her eyes darkened as if she had expected his answer. In her eyes looked pained, as if she had been betrayed. Tyler Winslet, Jade said as she curled the corner of her lips. She should have guessed it long ago. Besides the Stevens family, only the Winslet family hated her to the core. You know? Tony looked at her in surprise. I don't know for sure, I guessed it, Jade said faintly. But seeing his reaction, she felt that she hadn't guessed wrong. Miss Winslet, don't be too sad. At least Mr. Foster is sincere to you. I've been by his side for many years. I've never seen him so angry before. Do you know what? He even sealed off an entire area of Washington for you. Those police officers searched for the entire night and then sent people from the Winslet family and Stevens family to prison. And it was all for you. Tony said a lot of things and Jade listened to him. She could almost stuff an egg into her mouth. Tony, what did you say? In prison? What part of the city? Is what you said true? It can't be. It's too hard to imagine. Jade had long guessed that Dario wasn't an ordinary person, but she didn't expect that he had so much power. No ordinary person can do things like that.